Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing a video kind of giving my thoughts on Game of Thrones Season 5, possibly 6, depending on how they break it down. This one will be sort of a review with also projections of the upcoming seasons for George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire, A Feast for Crows. Okay, so this one isn't really going to be just a simple review for the book, A Feast for Crows. I'm also going to be kind of talking about how I think they're going to adapt and what I think is going to happen with the story in Game of Thrones Season 5. So we don't know yet as of this time what they're going to do with regards to how many seasons they're going to convert or adapt A Feast for Crows, the original book, the novel, to the TV series. We know that with A Storm of Swords, they decided this book is so crazy and there's so many things that happen and it's so dense that we can separate this up into 2 seasons, and they did just that. And I think it turned out fantastic. Seasons 3 and 4 split up from A Storm of Swords, the original book, to give us those 2 full seasons, which didn't feel slow to me. They didn't feel like they were really filled out. Season 4, I think, was the best season we've had so far in Game of Thrones, and Season 3 was great as well. So I've been really impressed the way they've kind of, spread that out without filling it out. There were a couple of things that they added in, but I liked all the additions. I thought they were all great. So who knows what they're going to do with regards to seasons 5 and 6. I'm sure there'll be some information coming out fairly soon about it because filming does start in July. So within the month it should start filming for the next season of Game of Thrones. But we don't know, how they're going to do this. With regards to this novel, it's almost the same length as A Storm of Swords, but I would say that it's a lot less eventful than A Storm of Swords. It's more of like in any story, especially in a long-running series, you have your climax, you have your high points where you have a lot of things happen. It could be a war, it could be a battle, it could be a major death or something of the sort. With A Song of Ice and Fire, I feel like A Storm of Swords, for the first 3 novels, is kind of like our climax point. Now granted, there have been some throughout each, but that book in itself, look at all the events we had. Spoilers, by the way, for anyone who hasn't seen up to current date on Game of Thrones. We have the death of course, the Red Wedding with the Starks, essentially. We have the deaths of a couple Lannisters. We have Oberyn, which I thought was amazing, and Tyrion on trial. We had all these events kind of happening, which really made Season 4 a very dense season. With regards to Season 5, it's going to be tough to see what they do with A Feast for Crows because it doesn't have major character deaths in it like that. It's more of like a picking up the pieces after all the events of A Storm of Swords. For example, I'll read off the description for it to you guys with the plot summary. It says, "The War of the Five Kings is slowly coming to an end. Stannis Baratheon has gone to the aid of the Wall, where Jon Snow has become the 99th Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. King Tommen Baratheon, Joffrey's 8-year-old brother, now rules in King's Landing under his mother, Cersei Lannister. Brienne, the Maid of Tarth, is on mission to find Sansa Stark, aided by Jaime Lannister. Sansa Stark is hiding in the Vale, protected by Petyr Baelish, who has murdered his wife Lysa Arrynand and named himself Lord Protector of the Vale and guardian of her 8-year-old Lord Robert Arryn." So with regards to this one, of course, we just saw the death of Tywin in the finale, which was a huge death, and it's going to change a lot of things for our characters going forward. But it puts us in a very strange situation because Tyrion is essentially in this book, and spoilers for the book if anyone hasn't read it yet, and maybe for the upcoming season. So if you really don't want to know anything about it, then this really isn't a video you want to watch. Tyrion isn't in the book. He's not in it at all. So does that mean we're not going to see Tyrion for 2 seasons, or we're not going to see him for 1 season, or are they just going to not have Peter Dinklage come back at all for the entire thing? It raises a very good question what they're going to do with Season 5 and 6 going forward with regards to him. Because in A Feast for Crows, he's basically non-existent. right? Aside from, maybe nightmares that Cersei has and things like that. So I guess maybe what they would do is they bring Tyrion back, they bring Peter Dinklage in, but they would probably have, some scenes from other books later on, like Dance with Dragons, with him at season 5. So season 5 may not be just like a straight adaptation, which they have kind of done before too, yes. But it seems to me like there's going to be a need more in season 5 of Game of Thrones to use not just A Feast for Crows, but events that take place in A Dance with Dragons, and kind of put them both in, so that if they have the actors come back on full time, they have their storylines carry through. Otherwise, they won't be able to do that. So that's kind of what I think. So I really hope we see Tyrion in season 5, but definitely with A Feast for Crows, missing him as a character leaves us in a spot where my favorite character in the story is gone. So it's like, that sucks, But very strangely to me, from this book and upcoming from the series, my favorite events, which I won't spoil any particulars, so don't worry about that, because I know a lot of people haven't read the books. My favorite events still take place at King's Landing in this one, and they involve the Lannisters, still, without Tyrion, which is really strange to me, because at first, when the series first started, I hated the Lannisters. I hated Cersei beyond everything. I hated Jaime, and I didn't like him at all. And it's really weird throughout the series how I've come to actually like Jaime quite a bit, even though he's kind of pompous and arrogant. Yeah, that's part of his personality, but I do like him. I like him as a character because he's become a lot more humble than he used to be after, of course, the war and everything, and being captured and, being maimed and everything like that. So, yeah, I like Jaime a lot. And from this book right here, some of my favorite stuff in the entire thing comes from Jaime. Also, Cersei. Very strange, because I've always hated Cersei since the start, when she, kind of beat Eddard in that, I guess, like in the Game of Thrones, I guess you could say, in the first season of the series. I hated her. I couldn't stand her. Nowadays, I kind of respect her in how conniving and how mischievous she is. And I like in this book, A Feast for Crows, how we get to see her continue with that style, but instead of having this sort of, I want to say, if you're talking about a chess match, she, of course, was the queen, but she had pieces around her. She had the king, yeah, but they had a weird relationship. But she had Tywin there, too, who on a chessboard, I can't even think of a piece that would represent Tywin, aside from maybe, yeah, there really isn't one. She always had Tywin there so that nobody would mess with her, and people would side with her because, like Varys says, when he talks about power, and, he gives Tyrion the riddle on power, if you guys remember earlier on in the series, and he talks about how it's a trick. Everybody would side with Cersei out of fear that Tywin would even look at them as an enemy. They would all automatically just back Cersei. Now we're in a weird position where Cersei doesn't have Tywin anymore to back her, and other people around, they're not going to treat Cersei the same way because of that. And when it comes to her and what she's done best all throughout the series, she doesn't have that father piece, that Tywin piece to just drop on everyone and say, yeah, well, I got Tywin. So, I got Daddy, so you all kind of have to listen to me. You all have to do what I say. It's kind of like when Jaime gets captured by Locke in the series, or Vargo Holt in the books. I think it's Holt or Vargo, whatever, in the books. How Locke says in the series to Jaime that all you have to ever do is mention Daddy and everything, everything changes. And for Cersei, it's even more so like that, because she's a female and she doesn't have any real power herself. She has to use these other pieces to exact her plans and to make these things happen. And probably my favorite part of all of A Feast for Crows is getting to see what happens with her when Tywin is not there. Who's going to fill his shoes as Hand of the King? She has Tommen, who, will listen to her, but Tommen's not like Joffrey. Tommen just listens to everybody. Joffrey will say, no, you're dead, you're dead, you're dead, cut his tongue out, do this with him, behead him, do that. And from Cersei's perspective, at first that was kind of, a bad thing. But it's interesting to see in the series now how Tommen is obviously that's his mom and he wants to protect her, but he's so passive that he won't be like Joffrey and be so aggressive or assertive to say this is what we're doing, and it kind of puts Cersei in a very interesting position. So, because I don't want to get into any major event spoilers, I won't say anything more about it than that. Just that I really think that's the most interesting part of the story is what happens around Cersei and at King's Landing, which is always kind of the hot spot for me in the series. The Wall with this one, in this book, personally, it's good, but a lot of the things we've seen have kind of occurred in the series already, the TV series. So what are they going to do on the Wall, after the big battle and everything with Mance Rayder and the rest of the wildlings and the White Walkers and Stannis being there? Probably the part I'm looking forward to the most in the series is going to be seeing how Stannis behaves at the Wall and seeing what happens with the Wall. It's probably my second favorite location right now. The part I was most let down with in this book was Daenerys. And also with a Dance with Dragons with Daenerys, because Daenerys is in this position where we've been waiting to see her, take her rightful place, I guess, yeah, I mean, kind of rightful place, I guess, and go on over to King's Landing and strike up the the huge battle, use her dragons. I mean, she's got 3 dragons, she's got a huge army, so I've been waiting and hoping to see her attack King's Landing for the longest time and take the throne for herself. Instead, in the series, without any kind of spoilers, that's not what we see. And I feel like it's really disappointing because I've been waiting forever to see that. And does that mean we're not going to even see, that happen until like season 7, season 8? I mean, we've been waiting since season 2 to see her do something. We're coming up on season 5, and she's in Marine, but she's nowhere closer to her goal than she was when she first started. And that, to me, is it's kind of annoying. It's sort of like he's dangling the carrot there for this story to come into the others, but he's been doing it for far too long. And that's what I think about that. So I just personally don't like that too much, and I really don't like what he does with Daenerys in this book, or really in A Dance with Dragons either, because I feel like we need to see her story, cross over into the others at some point in time. Maybe I have ADHD or something, but I can't wait that long to see 6 seasons of a series with that carrot dangling to finally see her attack. So that to me is kind of annoying, the direction he takes with her, but oh well, whatever. You'll still have fans of Daenerys no matter what he does with her. Even if she never attacks King's Landing and she just hangs out in Marine for the rest of her life, people will still love Daenerys. But personally for me, that's not the story I want to see with her. I want to see the story that we've been led to believe was going to happen from the very first season, when King Robert decides we're going to kill her, and Eddard says don't do it. Ever since then, I've been waiting to see those stories, and now it's weird now because Eddard's not alive, Robert's not alive, none of these characters are alive, but I still kind of want to see her finish that part. So with regards to the Riverlands, we get to see some cool stuff coming up from there with the Blackfish, who's if you guys remember, after the Red Wedding, he survived. So we've got some cool stuff coming from that. I did enjoy that in this book quite a bit. The Eyrie, I enjoyed it a little bit in this book, I would say. I don't know. It's fairly interesting, but I wouldn't say it's the most interesting stuff Petyr Baelish has ever been involved in. His most interesting deception or anything of the sort. You were to be the centerpiece of my next deception. So that's okay. Iron Islands are going to become more a part of the story again. So I'm fairly interested to see what happens with that. I am, because they've never really had that big of a part, and I'm hoping to see that in season 5 and 6 we see more from them. Also, Dorne is involved in the story. We have some viewpoint characters from there in A Feast for Crows, which is pretty cool, or at least a viewpoint character, and some others that are involved as well. Of course, after Oberyn's death in the trial by combat, they're going to want to have revenge. They're going to want, vengeance is always Game of Thrones, big on vengeance, man, big and Oberyn's thing was vengeance too. So pretty cool. So that's pretty much all I have to say about the story without getting into any major spoilers. That's the best I can do to dance around the plot without giving anything away to you guys who haven't read it. So I'll keep this as kind of like a non-spoiler one. I'm really interested to see what they do in season 5 and 6 and how they interpret this, because to be honest, I don't know how well it makes for a great season of a TV series. Certainly A Storm of Swords, you have these really key points that you can go ahead and say, okay, we'll kill Tywin in this episode. In this episode, Tyrion's going to be this and that. You're going to have Oberyn versus him. Yeah, I'm really interested to see how they kind of take this book and translate or transfer it, adapt it into the series. Really, really strange. But in terms of this book by itself, it's not my favorite out of all of the novels. I definitely prefer Storm of Swords in terms of the novel. Now, how they do this in the TV series, we'll have to see how good it ends up being, because I feel like as the series have gone on, we've gotten more and more attached to these different characters. If we hate Cersei, we love to hate her at this point. You know, if we love Tyrion, we love to love Tyrion. And Petyr, love to hate him maybe for some people. I just love to see the character because he's so conniving and so crazy and so just greedy. It's fun. But yeah, it's not my favorite. A Storm of Swords, I think, is better. Game of Thrones is probably better. It might be actually, to me, one of the weakest in all of the series from Martin. But the thing is about it is that it's after that climax, you know, you've got to have a come down time where, you know, you're dealing with the aftermath of these events, you know, a funeral, different things like that. It's not the most exciting stuff to see. It's not. But it's necessary to the story when you're dealing with a long-term series to have those ups and downs as a story goes through, you know. And this is kind of after that up of A Storm of Swords, this is the down part. So we'll see how it gets interpreted. We'll see how good season 5 and 6 end up being, how they kind of separate it up, or how they translate it, so to speak, or transfer it, and how it will stack up compared to the previous seasons without Tyrion, without or with very little Tyrion, unless they add things or kind of take from later stuff for him and kind of put his character in a different position than where he was in the books. Couldn't be more excited for Game of Thrones Season 5 and 6. With this one, I'm surprised to say the most exciting stuff I'm excited to see for in Season 5 and 6 is going to be Cersei. That's weird, but that's how good Martin is at really making us care about characters, even if we hated them at first, and kind of make us grow attached to them. I am most excited to see what happens with Cersei. Weird, but that's the situation. So let me know what you guys think. If you've read A Feast for Crows, go ahead and let me know what you think about the book below. How do you want to see them interpret it in the television series version? Do you want to see 2 seasons, or do you think this isn't A Storm of Swords, it should just be 1 season? I really want to hear what you guys think about this. Heavily debatable, heavily interesting, great discussion topic. Let me know what you guys think. A Feast for Crows. What did you think of the book? How do you think it's going to be interpreted in the television series? And let me know what you guys think about all that. If you don't want to see any spoilers, get out of here, stay out of the comments, go watch another, you know, Game of Thrones review or something, watch another discussion topic, but don't read the comments. They're going to be spoilers. So anyway, if you guys like the video, please thumb it up, like it below. Let me know what you guys think about all of that. Kind of a dense video, and if you have any suggestions for videos, send them to me, and that's all I got to say for this one. I'll call it here. So for this video, guys, I'll see you for the next one. This is Trev, as always, and I'm saying peace. What's your story, bastard?